Hey everyone, welcome back. Now, I'm sure you've noticed from reading the Twilight books or watching the movies that vampires and shapeshifters or werewolves aren't exactly the best of friends. Basically, they don't like each other all that much and consider each other natural enemies, as Caius from the Volturi likes to say. Now, I'm gonna talk about the shapeshifter werewolf misconception over what they're actually called in a moment, but as the video title says, I'll be explaining how and why the presence of vampires causes the Quileute shapeshifter genes to activate throughout the series. Now, I think it's a really interesting topic of discussion, so let's take a look. Not all vampires drink human blood. Not all vampires are bad guys, but something that even the most disciplined vampires struggle with is resisting the temptation to drink human blood. It's extremely difficult. Edward nearly lost his composure altogether when he first encountered Bella, and Jasper's reaction to Bella's blood ended up causing the Cullen family to completely relocate. But that is just a small minority of vampires who try to maintain a disciplined lifestyle. For the actual majority of the species, they hunt humans, they drink their blood, and it's just their lifestyle. Vampires are natural predators. The Quileute Tribe don't appreciate that whatsoever. They know they can't defend the entire human race from vampires, but they can defend their people and their territory. Now, this ability to transform into wolves didn't just happen because vampires were in the area. It's the reason the gene activates, yes, and I'll explain that properly as the video continues. But first, let's look at how the tribe originally obtained the power to transform into wolves in the first place. The origins of this story stem from the legend of Taha Aki, the first ever shapeshifter from the Quileute Tribe. Taha was a spirit warrior who had the ability to leave his human form and then travel in his spirit form. He was accompanied in such a power by his best spirit warrior, Utlapa. Now, Utlapa believed that the Quileute Tribe was not as powerful and dominant as they should be. He highlighted his desire to use his power along with Taha Aki to dominate and control the other tribes under the rule of the Quileute. Taha Aki was furious at such a selfish and unnatural desire as it stood against what the tribe believed in. He banished Utlapa from the tribe as a result of the latter's desires. And for a time, not much was heard of Utlapa, many thinking he accepted his banishment and had moved on. Taha Aki was very protective of his people and regularly left his human form to search the area for vampires and other forms of a threat that could be looming in the area. On one of his routine searches, Utlapa followed him in his spirit form, watched where Taha hid his body, and then possessed the chief's body. It's important to note that Utlapa could only possess Taha's body because Taha had left his body and was searching for threats in human form. Therefore, his body was like an open vessel for another spirit to inhabit if they chose to do so. So, while in Chief Taha's body, Utlapa cut the throat of his original body so Taha could not return to human form even in Utlapa's body, as it was no longer functional. Now, Chief Taha Aki could not warn his tribe about Utlapa's plan. One day, while wondering what to do, Chief Taha Aki encountered a beautiful wolf and asked if the wolf would allow him to share his body with him. The wolf agreed, and the chief, in wolf form, now rushed back to the Quileute Tribe to warn them about the false Chief Utlapa who controlled Taha Aki's human form. When he reached the tribe, the wolf began yelping Quileute songs, sparking the belief in Yut, an elderly spirit warrior, that the wolf itself was under spirit control. Yut left his body to talk to the spirit wolf, but as he did, Utlapa, while in control of Taha Aki's body, killed Yut in order to prevent his deception becoming known to the tribe. Taha became enraged over Yut's death and lunged at Utlapa, killing him. The power of his emotions was so overwhelming, his spirit merged with the wolf and transformed into the human version of Taha Aki's spirit. He soon learned that he could transform back to wolf form at will and therefore became the first Quileute shapeshifter. The overwhelming desire to protect his tribe forced Taha Aki's transformation back to a human, which would be the key in his descendants' own transitions throughout the generations. So this is how the shapeshifters came to be. Now if you're wondering why I've been using the term shapeshifter and not werewolf, well, that's because they're not werewolves. Werewolves do exist in the world of Twilight and are known as children of the moon. They transform at night, under moonlight, against their will. They have no control over any of it. They also infect new hosts with a venomous bite, which makes more children of the moon, and so on. The Quileute shapeshifters are not werewolves. They're absolutely nothing to do with werewolves, even the term itself. They transform into huge wolves at will and can return to their human form without complication. The Volturi, Caius in particular, confused the children of the moon with the Quileute shapeshifters as they had little knowledge of the Quileute's connections to the supernatural world and everything that their transformations represented. From the nature of Chief Taha Aki's transformation, the power of the shapeshifter was passed down through the sons he sired, which spread out across the tribe. Only when the territory and the tribe itself were under serious threat would a new shapeshifter emerge. Over time, the threats to the Quileute tribe submerged, and so did the need for the power of the wolf to awaken within the tribe members. Therefore, the story of Taha Aki and the spirit of the wolf became but a legend of the tribe. That was, of course, until the threat of the Cold Ones, or the vampires, returned to their lands. Now, I initially thought that it was due to the Cullens leaving and returning to Forks every few decades, as to have the townsfolk who knew them in youth pass on by the time they returned, which could be seen as a vampire threat returning to the Quileute territory, but after making their pact that would never see them enter Quileute lands or bite a human, it was down to the initial arrival of Laurent, James and Victoria that sparked the shapeshifter genes to activate once more, especially as Victoria began building an army to destroy the Cullens. Where? In Forks, of course. The overwhelming influx of new vampires, in addition to their uncontrollable urge to kill any humans they come across, caused more shapeshifters to emerge than ever before, with there eventually being more than one pack seeking to protect the Quileute lands. When a Quileute tribe member first transforms, they return to their human form that's now incorporated with their spirit form, which explains Jacob's incredible physical and overall majestic transformation. Their speed can match that of a vampire's, and they are almost equivalent in strength to that of a vampire. A vampire's limbs giving it a slight advantage in one-on-one combat. However, a vampire doesn't stand a chance in a 2v1 situation, which is why the wolves hunt in packs. The shapeshifter gene has one extra chromosome than a human and one less than a vampire, though it's unknown why this is the case. They have rapid heating and regulate their body temperature in human form a lot higher than normal at 42 degrees Celsius. It's also noted that a Quileute tribesman cannot have his shapeshifter genes activate after a certain age, something we see with Billy Black, Jacob's dad, who despite carrying the gene did not see it activate when coming into contact with vampires because he never seen much of them as a youth. Anyway everyone, with that being said, that is today's video on how vampires cause the shapeshifter gene to activate and a little history on the Quileute tribe itself. Thanks for watching, let me know what you want to see down below, have a great day, and I will see you all for the very next video.